Mr. Case.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would simply join your comments at the passing of Mr. Price's wife and our colleague, Ms. Lee. I think, Mr. Price is one of those folks that has influenced each and all of us in our own ways, and I'm sure that much of that influence came from Lisa, and so she will be missed, and I look forward to extending all of our condolences personally. I want to thank you, Chair and Ranking Member, for your support of this bill, and especially my subcommittee chair and ranking member who worked so collaboratively to bring this bill to this committee and to the floor every single year. You are a model, again, of how a subcommittee should work, and I appreciate serving with you. I stand in strong support of this year's military construction, VA, and related agency spending bill and urge the full committee's support of it. The bill addresses critical challenges that face our military and veterans in the 21st century. Some of these challenges are ongoing, some are new, but all are very compelling, and I believe we've addressed them in this particular bill. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the parts of this bill that deal with my backyard, the Indo-Pacific, where the challenges of our present and future lie, and especially in my own Hawaii. I spoke yesterday on the Defense Approach bill on the debacle at Red Hill. This bill also assists greatly in the remediation, closure, defueling, and replacement of that fuel facility that is critical to our national security in the Indo-Pacific. I also spoke yesterday on the challenges faced by our public shipyards, and this bill's major support of the continuation of the Shipyard Infrastructure Optimization Program, or SIOP, at $1.3 billion. That's critical to our national security as well. But I really want to just talk to some of the big picture themes in this bill on both the military side and the veteran side, and where I think we're particularly doing the right things on this bill. In terms of military construction, of course, this bill funds tremendous needs in terms of our military facilities. And we can think of facilities as infrastructure. We can build beautiful, hangars and beautiful other facilities to take care of our weapons and other platform systems. But at the end of the day, what matters is the men and women who man them, who work them, who serve in our armed services. And I think that what this bill does very well is to continue our efforts to provide for a quality of life for our men and women and their families in the armed services, both as what we owe them for their service and as an incentive for them to continue to serve with us in the military and devote their talents to our military. And so those parts of the bill that deal particularly with quality of life issues, I think, are worthy of special mention. Some of them are our continuing efforts to construct and build and operate child development centers, which take care of the needs of families in our military today, real needs that are critical to them. We've continued in that vein. We have tried to provide, again, for a variety of housing for a variety of different people that serve in our military. We have ramped up our family housing programs. We have ramped up our housing for unaccompanied personnel programs. And we have tried to get, again, at a major ongoing issue that has to do with our privatized housing and the continuing health concerns of those that live in them. These are critical because if we don't take care of our personnel in their own living conditions, they will not fully take care of their duties, and we want them to be attending to their duties, and we need to take care of those areas. I think we've also done a good job here of trying to anticipate and stay with our military in terms of the effects of climate change on the operation of our military, especially of our military construction facilities, to strive to require and advance energy conservation in the operation of our facilities for our military. And our military is doing very, very good work in this area. It cares about energy conservation. Reference was made yesterday to the military being the largest consumer of energy in our country, and that is certainly true of the operations of our weapons and other facilities. But it's also true in how we operate our military housing and our other facilities. And so the parts of this bill that are particularly focus on trying to develop energy conservation and climate change related improvements to our housing, I think are worthy of a special note. Switching to our veterans, I think where we have particularly made continued headway is in many of the areas where our veteran care has deficiencies or at least gaps or needs upgrades, where we have not always kept up with the needs of our veterans. Our rural healthcare, our remote veteran population still needs special attention. We have tried very much to work on issues such as telehealth, which we all know from our COVID-19 experience can and does work, and we've tried to forward that in terms of our veteran communities as well. We have also focused, and this has been a special interest of our chair, which we all welcome and support, to support the special needs of the largest and the fastest growing component of our veterans community, which is our women veterans, with over 900 million for gender-specific care. These increases offer far more healthcare options and access for countless veterans across the nation, where sometimes access care is challenged. We have also continued through our oversight hearings to be deeply concerned and deeply focused on the mental health of our veterans and their families, where we have seen continued tragedies, both in our active military and in our veterans, that cry out for greater programs of mental health focus, preventive mental health, not after the fact, although that is necessary too, but to get ahead of it rather than to react to it. These are critical areas. And sometimes it starts with things as simple as transition assistance, the transition from military service to veteran service. Can we make that smoother? Can we take out the stress of that? Can we get people off to the right foot as they move into the veterans community? We've focused on that in this bill. And for those that have been lost in the veterans part of their lives, whether they be the puzzling and persistent challenge of homelessness for many of our veterans, to outreach, to substance abuse, to their own mental health. These are areas that we must focus on, and I think this bill does focus on, not just as our fulfillment of our obligations, but really our moral duty to our veterans. I finally want to just address one part, because this particular bill is titled Military Construction, Veterans Affairs, and Related Agencies Appropriations Bill. And I think when we have those kind of subcommittees, sometimes the related agencies get lost in the shuffle. And I think I'd like to just focus on the 4 related agencies that are part of this bill, so that they get some love too. I think that first of all, we are embarked on a major expansion of Arlington that we don't focus on enough. Our iconic premier national cemetery, where we are funding the southern expansion for another 80,000 burial plots. I think that is worthy of special attention in this bill. We have ramped up funding for our American Battle Monuments Commission. Our American Battle Monuments Commission, the ABMC, administers the final resting places or the final places of memorialization for 200,000 of our own fallen overseas in multiple wars dating back to the Spanish-American War, but certainly to more recent wars. We operate 28 cemeteries, 32 memorials in 17 other countries, and a few areas around our own country, including my own Punch Bowl. I was recently privileged to join some of our colleagues in Memorial Day at Cambridge in England. And for any of you that have not been to an ABMC cemetery or memorial, that is one of the most moving things that you can possibly do as a member of this body. So that is a worthwhile effort to note. We've also taken care of our veterans who are in our armed forces retirement homes, which we sometimes do not give sufficient attention to. And then finally, our Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. Each and all of us does major casework in our districts, and we all know that one of the major parts of our casework load is our veterans, who oftentimes cannot get sufficient adjudication of their own claims, especially, well, I suppose not especially, but to include on the appellate level, where they are entitled to appeal an initial ruling. And the backlog has been troubling, puzzling, and has been something that we have been focusing on. But in this particular bill, we do try to increase the funding of our Court of Appeals so that we can adjudicate these claims in one way or the other in a timely fashion that is owed to our veterans. So all in all, a lot of great efforts in this bill, both on our military side and on our veterans side, and yes, on those related agencies side. So I strongly support and urge passage of this bill, and I yield back.